Hello YouTube fans, here again. And I think why not with my video nasties and me talking about why not this one. This one being The Evil Dead. That's right, The Evil Dead. Now if you want to see a better one of The Evil Dead, what's one I did last couple of days ago when I was talking about the agility. But as we know, the agility, whether it be Evil Dead 2, Dead Before Dawn, and Army of Darkness, wasn't a part of the video nasties, but the original one was. But I'm going to talk more about this one and how it became what it was. Now, at the time, we all know the well-known director. This is the same director who did us Spider-Man, did us The Lord of the Rings, and so on. And it was a very long director back in the era when he did this. But before he did this, in the late 70s, being 77, he did what you call with a student art sort of horror film called Beneath the Woods. Sadly to say, it's never been released on DVD, Blu-ray, or any other technology. But if you ever want to see Beneath the Woods, there's a site, I think, where you can find it on YouTube. It's definitely done on the cheap. You can definitely totally use a cheap film camera. And the funny thing is, they use music from movies. I think there's a bit where they use a bit of the music from the Bond movie. Remember the Bond movie On Your Majesty's Secret Service? Not making it up. They literally use the same music from that. No shit. But decided one. The only difference is, I think the character who was Ass, if you all know, I think rightly he was the bad guy. It was the same actors in Beneath the Woods. He turned into the bad guy, being Bruce Campbell. But as it got into the early 80s, being 1981 to 82 when they filmed The Evil Dead, they just altered it where Bruce Campbell I meant to say, he got the lead role instead. So they decided to make sort of like another version of it. And originally it was called The Book of the Dead, but they didn't really like the title. They always did The Evil Dead, and the rest is history. So they go with the bloody film. So they filmed it in the woods. They had the same characters that beneath the woods. So TV says they altered the character to Bruce Campbell turned into a dud die instead. And they got one there. She's drawing this funny thing. A pencil goes to la. And then they found the Book of the Dead in a cellar. Stupid enough, one of the mates reads this thing, a record, and it represents this the evil spirits. If they get into you turn into what they call a dead eye. And in all fairness, this was a very, very well-known film. It was Mary Whitehouse, and the days of the video, Winsick Fire the River, that it was the mother of video nasties. And it was taken to court. True story is, it was taken to court, and happy to say the director won his case and allowed it, but it was not allowed in this country. I'm not making this shit up. It was only in the early 90s they brought The Evil Dead out again, but it was cut to fucking pieces. I shit you not, cut to pieces. Happy to say, I think in 2022 they're celebrating the anniversary of The Evil Dead. They brought it out, totally happy to say, fully uncut. And thank fuck, I actually like this film. It's bloodthirsty, it's over the top, has humour in it. It is a very, very definitely made film. Considering the director was only Lung when he directed this, it is unbelievable. It's totally unbelievable. It's going the bloody film. So like I said, they have to vet these things, turn into dead eyes. The well-known scene is the scene where a girl, and honestly I'm not smoking coke, because you've ever seen The Evil Dead, you know it's a bit I'm going to say, this girl gets raped by a tree. Seriously, you're not hearing things. She gets raped by a tree, which I do know originally was ethically caught in this country. And halfway through the film, she's the first one to turn into a dead eye. Another cut scene is the scene where she gets a pencil and she stabs the girl on the leg. Looks painful, and it does. As laughable as it is, and how stupid our government are. They didn't like for that. They were staring at kids who go around with pencils going on a stabbing spree. Seriously, I'm not making this up. The girl that gets stabbed, she turns to the next one and turns into a dead eye. I do remember there's another girl that gets turn into a dead eye. I remember we'll see where she attacks her boyfriend and she gets cut to pieces with her axe. So it doesn't fuck around on the blood and gore department. So I don't like that. I mean, it's bloodthirsty when it wants to be, and it's violent. One dies, his mate, he dies, he turns into a dead eye. There's a memorable scene where he gets his eyeballs stout, and all the evil dead eyes are attacking Ass again, played by Bruce Campbell. There's a date and memorable scene where he's going to cut his girlfriend with a chainsaw, but then he changes his mind, goes to bury her because she's dead. She jumps back, attacks him. I love to see where he cuts her fucking head off with a shuffle. Definitely doesn't fuck about there. And in all fairness, if you ever remember the tacit A Nightmare on Elm Street, they actually used footage from The Evil Dead. There's a bit in it, if I remember rightly, where they're watching TV in A Nightmare on Elm Street. And if you ever think, I've seen this film before, this film looks familiar, because they used a bit from The Evil Dead. And it does have a lot of history, this film. It has a lot, and I mean a lot of history. Like, when this come out on video, they also aired it in theatrical release and video, which when you think about it, they never do anymore. They never get away with that. But back in America, they aired it on video. So it's Betamax and another technology. And they also aired it in theatrical release and all. And it's like I say, when it come out here, the dad make out it was a video nasty. The director won the case in court, but it took them this to fight for us to fence it, and I mean a fence it, get The Evil Dead in its uncut format. Took them this, but wow, wasn't it worth the wait? We now finally get to see it again, like how it was when it was aired on VHS. I meant to say, not theatrical, on VHS back in the golden days of the video nasty. We get to see how it was again, bloodthirsty, violent and gruesome. So I do remember Ash gets to bed, he destroys all the dead eyes, he's walking out of the house. I get this feeling what falls him out, and it attacks Ash, and it ends like that with a twist ending. Does he get killed and so on? I don't know if you see the Evil Dead 2, but the thing is with Evil Dead 2, they're going to have to write, so they altered it. But to me, I just look at it, he was the same character. That Bruce Campbell was playing the same fucking character. But the other bits I like about The Evil Dead, I like the way the camera's moving about, the bit where it attacks that woman, the rape scene before you get that. I like the way everything pushes across to get this weird sound effect, which is used in the other 3 Evil Dead films. That it's hard to explain, but if you see the film, you know what I mean, where the camera works, moving about here, moving about there. You get a date sound effect. So it's a bit where Ash is walking in the room and the camera lens follows him about. It's supposed to be these evil spirits, and it goes wug, wug, wug. Don't what's near a piece of wood, wug, wug, wug. I love the bit where he puts his hand near the mirror and it goes, the mirror turns into water, and Ash pulls his hand out and it freaks him out. So it definitely does have a lot of imagination for a budget. What was a bit of a low budget on the original The Evil Dead. It definitely did serve a very good way of filming the film. And like I say, it didn't serve to be a video nasty. For Mary Whitehouse to say this was the mother of the video nasties. Funny thing is, right? The funny thing is, Mary Whitehouse never even seen The Evil Dead. She just judged it by all the other nasty material was out there. There was a lot more films that were nasty. The Evil Dead, I look at it as a good fantasy sort of horror film, and it definitely made a big success because, as we all know, it was all bloodthirsty. But as we all know, the late 80s it brought out the sequel, Evil Dead 2, Dead Before Dawn, and in the early 90s it brought out Army of Darkness, which you could say was also a follow-up to Evil Dead 2. So that's like The Evil Dead. It's like I say, it took them years to eventually get it back in its tat, being the Joker uncut version. But into them, be smart, be safe, and do some more video nasties, more movies, more protests, and more things to do. Into them, see you later, and fuck it. A 5-star rating for me.